So this video is aimed at those of you that want to climb from starting Brawl Stars to the higher trophy levels as quickly as possible. I was 0 trophies around 2 weeks ago. I am now 5,100 trophies 2 weeks later. It's a very, very rapid climb that I've managed to achieve, and all through 5 pretty easy steps. Now, I have spent money on this game. I spent a decent amount. Now, I spent more than you probably would want to spend yourself, and that has certainly helped me out, in the power level specifically. I've only got 1 star power, however, and it is El Primo, so it's not exactly a great star power. But it's, overall, I think power level is only relevant in certain situations. I don't think you need power levels to be good at this game. I think a lot of it is skill-based more than anything. And I think you could very easily get to 5,000 trophies without the need for power levels. So, obviously, I've spent a decent amount, but you do need to have the skill to complement those power levels to make sure that you're climbing quickly. If we have a look, I have got, in total, 1,005 victories across solos, duos, and a lot of 3 versus 3 victories. If you go to any of the leaderboard players, you'll notice that most of them have the majority of their victories in 3v3. If you say that across leveling early brawlers, as well as winning showdowns, etc., the average trophy gain per win is about 6. This would net me 6,030 trophies if I won every single one of those games. So obviously, I've got 5,100. I've probably got around an 85 to 90% win rate across the board, which is a pretty good win rate to have when climbing the ladder across all of your brawlers. So what I'm going to go through is the 5 steps that I took to make sure that I was gaining trophies as quickly as possible, and hopefully you guys can replicate it. So the first tip that I'm going to give you is that you should really aim to level up all of your brawlers as evenly as possible. What I did when I unlocked the brawler, and especially if I liked that brawler, is I'd get it to level 10, and then I'd find another brawler, play that brawler, and get it also to rank 10. I'd then do the same with the next brawler and the next brawler, and once I got a significant amount of them to rank 10, then I would make my way to rank 15 with all of my brawlers. The reason that I've done this is because A, you get trophies slightly quicker when you're a lower level brawler, and you also don't lose as many trophies for a loss. B, the game tries to match you based on the trophies of the brawler that you're playing. So if you're good at the game and you very quickly adapt to a new brawler, you'll actually play people who are worse than you, respectively, skill-wise. So that should make winning easier. Then, also, the counterpart of that is once you get to level 15 and above, or rank 15 and above in your brawler, it does become significantly harder to grind those trophies. Not only are you going to start to face up against people of higher rank, you're also going to queue into a lot of 3 parties, people who know the tactics, people who are very good at their brawlers, and also, as you can see here, you'll queue up into people who have got quite high power level brawlers. Now, as I said, power levels I don't think mean everything in this game. For instance, if you go and watch Kairos Time, he showed you a video where a girl got rank 20, so she got 500 trophies on every single brawler at power level 1. So it is possible to do, you just have to be very good at the game. But as you can see, there are very few brawlers that I haven't got to rank 10. Some of them that I haven't got there, I've recently just started playing Bo a lot. I'm also really bad with Daryl, so I'm just starting to learn him. He's got a very unique playstyle. And Mortis, I think, is another one of those brawlers that you kind of have to be really into to play. But apart from that, most of them have already got to rank 10, and now I'm working my way from rank 10 to rank 15 across a lot of the brawlers that I've already got. Right now I'm playing a lot of Bo because he is rank 6, sorry, he's rank 9, and he's going to be easier for me to level up compared to some of my other brawlers. I haven't really pushed 500 trophies on many brawlers. I'm nearly there with a few of them, someone like El Primo. But it has been a lot easier for me to level up my brawlers when they are all spread across those lower ranks. So it raises your overall trophy level and also makes it easier to get to that trophy level by playing across all of your brawlers. You will eventually want to make sure that you find people to play with, and that's my tip number 2, finding a good team or at least one teammate. I found that if you have at least one teammate, that often helps a lot. It allows you to do duo showdown mode, which is much easier to come out on top on if you've got someone on your team that you know what they're doing. Also, it's much easier to go into a 3v3 game mode with only 1 random factor rather than 2. So if you go into Gem Grab or Brawl Ball, it's much easier to have a team involved because you can choose the brawlers that you want before you go in, and that means you allow yourself to craft a good team composition. I'm sure we've all soloed a Brawl Ball game or soloed a Gem Grab game where there's Colt, Barley, and Penny, and none of you are very good at being that front line or that gem carrier. So it is important to find people to play with. You can play solo. For instance, Showdown solo is a good way to climb relying solely on yourself, but Showdown does become a very slow mode to grind trophies in, and I will talk about that in my next tip when we talk about game selection type. But Showdown can be very slow and very painful to grind trophies in, and although you can rely on yourself, it gets much harder, especially as you get higher trophies in an individual brawler, to consistently come in a high trophy placing position in Showdown. It's much easier to find at least one other person to play with and go into a 3v3 game mode where you can try and formulate a good little team that you can work with. That's pretty much how I climbed from 2,000 to 5,000. I found 2 guys I used to play Vainglory with. We all were really pretty good at Brawl Stars, and we climbed really quickly, just because we were together playing. And one of them has got like level 10s, star powers, and almost all of his brawlers. So that obviously helped a little bit, but yeah, finding people to play with is really important. My next tip is going to be selecting the right game mode. Now you can view this in my top 10 tips to grinding trophies quickly, which I will link in the description below and also put on a card over there. But essentially, there are some game modes which will net you more trophies per hour than others, as well as being easier to do so in terms of consistency. The main modes that I grinded my trophies in over the last 2 weeks have been Gem Grab, Heist, and Brawl Ball, all of which I did in a duo or a trio. This is because these are the quickest game modes to win and the quickest game modes to lose, so in general you're going to be playing more games per hour, and if you have a good win rate, you're going to be netting more trophies per hour than the other game modes. Bounty has a timer on it, and it's never going to be shorter than the timer no matter how hard you're winning, and Showdown generally takes a little bit longer. I could get potentially 2.5 to 2 Brawl Ball games in one Showdown match. Now, the problems also lie in the fact that Showdown itself will become harder and harder to win as you go on. All game modes will be harder as you grind trophies on specific heroes, but Showdown specifically, especially when you're playing solo, you're going up against 9 other people, of which 9 other people are wanting to win. You are going to face 9 other people. In duo, you're facing 4 other teams. In a game of Brawl Ball, in a game of Gem Grab, or in a game of Heist, it's you versus one other team. It's only going to go one or other way. That means there is an outcome where you lose and an outcome where you win. In Showdown, there is a multitude of outcomes. You could lose really hard, you could win ever so slightly, or you could win a lot. It's very hard to get, unless you're incredibly gifted at that game mode, to get consistent 2-in-1s, especially post 300 trophies. It's actually a really good game mode to grind at the start of the game when you haven't got that many contacts, you haven't got that many friends in game, and you're not a part of a club, because it's something that you can rely on yourself for, and you actually net a lot of trophies and don't lose that much when playing Showdown. When you get to that 300 trophy plus mark, you're going to find that you lose a lot of trophies. If you make a mistake in the early game, that's bam, 6 trophies out the window. So you have to be very careful about playing Showdown as you go into the later stages of the game, because it's much harder to get a consistent trophy income from. Whereas playing the other game modes, especially Brawl Ball, Heist, and Gem Grab, they are more consistent. You've only got your team versus the enemy team to worry about, and you're always going to have a really good trophy per hour gain if you've got a good win rate. So choosing the right game mode is really important, and I would recommend Brawl Ball, Heist, and Gem Grab. The next point that generally goes hand in hand with choosing the right game mode is learning the game mode tactics. Just gonna let my dog out of my office. Essentially, each game mode has got a tactic, and by learning those tactics, you're going to give yourself a strict advantage over opposition that does not know those tactics. For instance, in Gem Grab, you have 3 specific roles: a gem carrier, a support, and an aggressive player. And also by controlling the side portions of the Gem Grab map is going to give you massive advantages in terms of central gem control. So learning game mode tactics was really important to just in general getting a consistent trophy income, especially as you get towards 4,000, 5,000 trophies plus, especially when you're at 400 trophies plus on each of your individual brawlers, because people start to know those tactics at that point. Also hand in hand with that is knowing the meta, and again, knowing which particular brawlers work on which particular game modes. For instance, we all know Mortis is incredibly good at Brawl Ball. We know that someone like Pam is a great gem carrier for Gem Grab. You can find all this out by looking at your favorite content creators' content list. I've recommended this guy many times before, but Kairos Time does a great meta tier list for each individual game mode. I'll link his channel in the description below, and you guys can go and check out the best brawlers for particular game modes, and that's something that's really important. So knowing the tactics and knowing the meta is very important. The final tip, and this is going to seem pretty obvious, but is practice, practice, practice. And I mean play a lot like I did. Improve your mechanics. It's really important. Brawl Stars is an incredibly mechanically intensive game, so by practicing those mechanics, your skill shots, your aim, when to use your ultimates, understanding interactions, that's stuff that's going to make you much, much better at the game, and all of that comes with a bit of playtime. Don't worry about power levels. In my opinion, power levels mean very little until star power. Star power is the only game-altering thing that I think can have a massive impact on the matchups that you have. And some star powers do completely alter the way that you've got to play the game, so you will have to be careful about that. So honestly, if you've got a level 6 power level, level 4 power level, even compared to a level 8 power level, that actually doesn't mean too much as long as you are being consistent with your mechanics and consistent with your aim. It's just the star powers that are going to start to annoy you when you get towards the higher levels of things. It's great to have high level brawlers, but honestly, until you get a star power, nothing much really changes. And if you've got a brawler at level 7, you're not too far off in terms of percentage versus the level 10 brawlers as well. It's just the star powers that you've got to be concerned with. So make sure that you play, you practice, and you finally don't tilt. If you lose games, and I'm an absolute fiend for this, I get frustrated, I get wound up, and the best thing you can do when you've lost 3 or 4 games in a row, take a quick break, 5-10 minutes, get a drink, refresh, close the app, come back, start again. Just get a reset mind, because when you go on tilt, you can end up losing over and over and over again. So it's really important that you just take that little break if you need to, reset everything, and get ready to go. Hopefully that was useful for you guys. I will see you soon.